Sinterklaas, sɪnt unregistered trademark nikolaːs, or Sint Nicolaas, sɪnt nikolaːs. A pronunciation is a traditional figure based on Saint Nicolas. Other names for the figure include de Sint, de Goedheiligman, and de Goede Sint in Dutch. Saint Nicolas in French. Sinterklaas in Frisian. And Kleeschen and Zinniklos in Luxembourgish. Sinterklaas is celebrated annually with the giving of gifts on the night before St. Nicholas Day in the Netherlands and on the morning of December 6, St. Nicholas Day itself, in Belgium, Luxembourg, and northern France. He is also well known in territories of the former Dutch Empire, including Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao. He is one of the sources of the popular Christmas icon of Santa Claus. Other holiday figures based on St. Nicholas are celebrated in some parts of Germany and Austria, Switzerland, Italy, parts of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia and Serbia, Slovenia, and Greece, among others. See further, St. Nicholas Day. Figures, Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas is an elderly, stately and serious man with white hair and a long, full beard. He wears a long red cape or kasubel over a traditional white bishop's alb and sometimes red stola, dons a red mitre and ruby ring, and holds a gold-coloured crozier, a long ceremonial shepherd's staff with a fancy curled top. He traditionally rides a white horse. In the Netherlands, the horse is called a mergo, and in Belgium, it is named slecht weer vandaag, meaning bad weather today. Sinterklaas carries a big book that tells whether each child has been good or naughty in the past year. Zwarte Piet. Zwarte Piet is a companion of Sinterklaas, usually portrayed by a man in blackface with black curly hair, dressed up like a 17th-century page in colorful dress, often sporting a lace collar and a feathered cap. He first appears in print as the nameless servant of St. Nicholas in Sint Nicolaas en Zijknecht, published in 1850 by Amsterdam schoolteacher Jan Schumann. But the tradition appears to date back at least as far as the early 19th century. Sinterklaas and his Black Pete usually carry a bag which contains candy for nice children and a chimney sweep's broom made of willow branches, used to spank naughty children. Some of the older Sinterklaas songs make mention of naughty children being put in the bag and being taken back to Spain. The Zwarte Piet and toss candy around, a tradition supposedly originating in the story of St. Nicholas's saving 3 young girls from prostitution by tossing golden coins through their window at night to pay their dowries. In recent years the row has been absent, to adapt to modern times. There are various explanations of the origin of Zwarte Piet. One is that St. Nicholas liberated an Ethiopian slave boy called Peter from a Myra market, and the boy was so grateful he decided to stay with St. Nicholas as a helper. In modern adaptations for television, the saint has developed a piet for every function. There is a head piet, a navigation piet to navigate the steamboat from Spain to the Netherlands, a packing piet to pack all the gifts, an acrobatic piet to climb roofs and stuff presents down the chimney, or to climb down the chimneys themselves. Over the years many stories have been added, and Zwarte Piet has developed from a rather unintelligent helper into a valuable assistant to the absent-minded saint. Traditionally Zwarte Piet's face is said to be black because he is a Moor from Spain. Today, some prefer to say that his face is blackened with soot, as he has to climb through chimneys to deliver his gifts. A figure of Zwarte Piet is considered by some to be racist. Veron Shepherd, chair of United Nations Working Group on People of African Descent, stated in an interview with the Dutch television news program Een Vandaag on October 22, 2013 that, the working group cannot understand why it is that the people in the Netherlands cannot see that it is a throwback to slavery. As a black person I feel, that if I were living in the Netherlands, I would object to it. The working group started investigations in 2012 and sent questions to the Dutch Union representative in January 2013. However, after a more thorough investigation it was announced that the UN would drop any racism-related charges against the Dutch. In a 2013 survey, 92% of the Dutch public did not perceive Zwarte Piet as racist or associate him with slavery, and 91% were opposed to altering the character's appearance. Nevertheless, beginning in 2013, several Dutch retail chains including HEMA and V&D began changing their seasonal Sinterklaas products and displays in order to include a revised version of Zwarte Piet without the makeup or other racially sensitive characteristics. In Belgium, there is less controversy about the possible racist nature of Zwarte Piet. In late 2014, the Centre for Equal Opportunities and Opposition to Racism in Belgium stated that the image of Zwarte Piet is non-discriminatory. The centre did however encourage an open debate and asked to refrain from representing the figure of Zwarte Piet as a stupid, inferior or dangerous black man. Feast, arrival from Spain. Sinterklaas traditionally arrives in the Netherlands each year in mid-November by steamboat from Spain. He then parades through the streets on his horse, welcomed by children cheering and singing traditional Sinterklaas songs. His Zwarte Piet assistants throw candy in small, round, gingerbread-like cookies, either kruidnoten or peppernoten, into the crowd. The event is broadcast live on national television in the Netherlands and Belgium. After this national arrival, all towns with a dock usually celebrate their own intocht van Sinterklaas. Local arrivals usually take place later on the same Saturday of the national arrival, the next Sunday, or one weekend after the national arrival. In places a boat cannot reach, Sinterklaas arrives by train, horse-drawn carriage or even a fire truck. Some suggest that gifts associated with the Holy Man, the mandarin oranges, led to the misconception that he must have been from Spain. This theory is backed by a Dutch poem documented in 1810 in New York and provided with an English translation. The text presented here comes from a pamphlet that John Pinted released in New York in 1810. It is the earliest source mentioning Spain in connection to Sinterklaas. Pinted wanted St. Nicholas to become patron saint of New York and hoped to establish a Sinterklaas tradition. Apparently he got help from the Dutch community in New York, that provided him with the original Dutch Sinterklaas poem. Strictly speaking, the poem does not state that Sinterklaas comes from Spain, but that he needs to go to Spain to pick up the oranges and pomegranates. So the link between Sinterklaas and Spain goes through the oranges, a much appreciated treat in the 19th century. Later the connection with the oranges got lost, and Spain became his home. Period leading up to St. Nicholas Eve. In the weeks between his arrival and December 5, Sinterklaas also visits schools, hospitals and shopping centers. He is said to ride his white-grey horse over the rooftops at night, delivering gifts through the chimney to the well-behaved children. Traditionally, naughty children risked being caught by Black Pete, who carried a jute bag and willow cane for that purpose. Before going to bed, children put their shoes next to the fireplace chimney of the coal-fired stove or fireplace. They leave the shoe with a carrot or some hay in it and a bowl of water nearby for Sinterklaas' horse, and the children sing a Sinterklaas song. Treats: the next day they find some candy or a small present in their shoes. Typical Sinterklaas treats traditionally include hot chocolate, mandarin oranges, peppernoten, speculoos, letter-shaped pastry filled with almond paste or a chocolate letter chocolate coins and marzipan figures. Newer treats include gingerbread biscuits and a figurine of Sinterklaas made of chocolate and wrapped in colored aluminum foil. St. Nicholas Eve and St. Nicholas Day. In the Netherlands, St. Nicholas Eve, December 5, became the chief occasion for gift-giving during the winter holiday season. The evening is called Sinterklaasavond or Pakjesavond. On the evening of December 5, the main presents will somehow arrive, or a note will be found that explains where in-house the presents were hidden by Zwarte Piet, who left a burlap sack with them. Sometimes a neighbor will knock on the door and leave the sack outside for the children to retrieve. This varies per family. When the presents arrive, the living room is decked out with them, much as on Christmas Day in English-speaking countries. On December 6, Sinterklaas departs without any ado, and all festivities are over. In Belgium, most children have to wait until the morning of December 6 to receive their gifts, and Sinterklaas is seen as a festivity almost exclusively for children. The shoes are filled with carrots and sugar cubes on the evening of the 5th, and often, a bottle of beer for Zwarte Piet and a cup of coffee for Sinterklaas are placed next to them. Sinterklaas largely replaces Christmas as a gift-giving occasion, usually for as long as the children are living at home. Also, When it is time for children to give up their pacifier, they place it into his or her shoe and it is replaced with chocolate the next morning. The present is often creatively disguised by being packaged in a humorous, unusual or personalized way. This is called a surprise. Poems from Sinterklaas usually accompany gifts, bearing a personal message for the receiver. It is usually a humorous poem which often teases the recipient for well-known bad habits or other character deficiencies. When the children reach the age when they know the big secret of Sinterklaas, some people will shift to Christmas Eve or Christmas Day for the present giving. Older children in Dutch families where the children are too old to believe in Sinterklaas anymore, also often celebrate Christmas with presents instead of pakketjesavond. Instead of such gifts being brought by Sinterklaas, family members may draw names for an event comparable to Secret Santa. History. Pre-Christian Europe, parallels have been drawn between the legend of Sinterklaas and the figure of Odin, a major god among the Germanic peoples, who was worshipped in Northern and Western Europe prior to Christianization. Since some elements of the Sinterklaas celebration are unrelated to Christianity, there are theories regarding the pagan origins of various customs of the holiday stemming from areas where the Germanic peoples were Christianized and retained elements of their indigenous traditions, surviving in various forms into modern depictions of Sinterklaas. Non-Christian elements in Sinterklaas that arguably could have been of pagan origin. Sinterklaas rides the rooftops on his white horse which has various names. Odin rides the sky with his grey horse Sleipnir. Sinterklaas gives chocolate letters to children, like Odin gave the rune letters to man. Sinterklaas carries a staff and has mischievous helpers with black faces, who listen at chimneys to find out whether children are bad or good and report to Sinterklaas. Odin has a spear and his black ravens, Hugin and Munin, who report what happens in the world to Odin. Middle Ages. The Sinterklaas feast arose during the Middle Ages. The folk feast celebrates the name day, December 6, of Saint Nicolas, patron saint of children. Saint Nicolas was a Greek bishop of Myra in present-day Turkey. In 1087, half of his relics were furtively transported to Bari, in southeastern Italy. For this reason, he is also known as Nicolaas of Bari. Bari later formed part of the Spanish Kingdom of Naples, because it was previously conquered in 1442 by Alfonso V of Aragon. The city thus became part of the Kingdom of Aragon and later of Spain, until the 18th century. Because half the remains of Saint Nicolas were in Bari, in this tradition Saint Nicolas comes from Spain and is a black helper depicted as a Morisco page boy known as Zwart Piet. Because of the help he gave to sailors in his hometown, Saint Nicolas was venerated as the patron saint of sailors, which is why he comes to the Netherlands on a steamboat. His anonymous gifts and kindness towards children had already secured him the patronage of children, by the elders of Lycia, his home province. Sinterklaas' fame spread throughout Europe. The Roman Catholic Church made his name day a church holiday. In the north of France, he became the patron saint of schoolchildren, then mostly in church schools. In the Reformation in 16th–17th century Europe, many Protestants and others changed the gift bringer to the Christ child or Christkindl, and the date for giving gifts changed from December 6 to Christmas Eve. Sinterklaas is assisted by many mischievous helpers with black faces and colorful Moorish dresses. These helpers are called Zwart Pietens. Although the character of Black Piet later came to acquire racial connotations, his origins were in the evil figure. Good and bad play an important role in the feast. Good is rewarded, bad and evil are punished. Hence the duplication of the one saint in a saint and a devil. The feast was both an occasion to help the poor, by putting money in their shoes, and a wild feast, similar to carnival, that often led to costumes, a topsy-turvy overturning of daily roles, and mass public drunkenness. In early traditions, students elected one of their classmates as bishop on St. Nicholas Day, who would rule until December 28, and they sometimes acted out events from the bishop's life. As the festival moved to city streets, it became more lively. 16th and 17th centuries, after the rebellion of the Dutch provinces against the Spanish Empire, Calvinist regents and ministers prohibited celebration of the saint. The Republic of the United Provinces became an officially Protestant country following the Reformation, and its governments abolished public celebrations. The South, however, remained Catholic. People there and students in Amsterdam, which also contained a significant Catholic population, protested. The government eventually allowed private family celebration of St. Nicholas Day, 19th century. In the 19th century, the saint emerged from hiding and became more secularized at the same time. The modern tradition of Sinterklaas as a children's feast was likely confirmed with the illustrated children's book Sint Nicolaas en Zijknecht, written in 1850 by the teacher Jan Schumann. Some say he introduced the images of Sinterklaas delivering presents by the chimney, riding over the roofs of houses on a grey horse, and arriving from Spain by steamboat, then an exciting modern invention. Perhaps building on the fact that St. Nicholas historically is the patron saint of the sailors, Schumann could have been inspired by the Spanish customs and ideas about the saint when he portrayed him arriving via the water in his book. Schumann introduced the song Zygens Komt de Stoomboot, which is still popular in the Netherlands. In Schumann's version, the medieval figures of the mock devil, which later changed to Oriental or Moorish helpers, was portrayed for the first time as black African and called Zwart Piet. World War II. In the lean times of the German occupation of the Netherlands, Sinterklaas nonetheless came to cheer everyone, not just children. Many of the traditional Sinterklaas rhymes written during those times referred to current events. The Royal Air Force was often celebrated. In 1941, for instance, the RAF dropped boxes of candy over the occupied Netherlands. One classical poem that was turned into a contemporary one was the following, original, Sinterklaas, kapunch, Goede in Midschouwend, Goede in Midlast, Dank u Sinterklaas, which became the contemporary version, RAF kapunch, Goede in Midschouwend, Bisdom fen Goen, maar in Holland stroen. Translation, RAF capon, throw something in my shoe, throw, bombs at the Krauts, but scatter, candy in Holland. This is a variation of one of the best-known traditional Sinterklaas rhymes, with RAF replacing Sinterklaas in the first line, with the Dutch word kapunch capon as traditional in the rhyme. The second line is straight from the original rhyme, but in the third and fourth line the RAF is encouraged to drop bombs on the muffin and candy over the Netherlands. Many of the Sinterklaas poems of this time noted the lack of food and basic necessities, and the German occupiers having taken everything of value. Others expressed admiration for the Dutch resistance. Originally Sinterklaas was only accompanied with one Zwart Pieten, but just after the liberation of the Netherlands, Canadian soldiers organized a Sinterklaas party with many Zwart Pieten, and ever since this has been the custom, each Piet normally having his own dedicated task. Sinterklaas as a source for Santa Claus. Sinterklaas is the basis for the North American figure of Santa Claus. It is often claimed that during the American War of Independence, the inhabitants of New York City, a former Dutch colonial town, reinvented their Sinterklaas tradition, as St. Nicholas was a symbol of the city's non-English past. The name Santa Claus supposedly derived from older Dutch Sinterklaas. However, the St. Nicholas Society was not founded until 1835, almost half a century after the end of the war. In a study of the children's books, periodicals and journals of New Amsterdam, the scholar Charles Jones did not find references to St. Nicholas or Sinterklaas. Not all scholars agree with Jones's findings, which he reiterated in a book in 1978. Howard G. Hageman, of New Brunswick Theological Seminary, maintains that the tradition of celebrating Sinterklaas in New York existed in the early settlement of the Hudson Valley. He agrees that there can be no question that by the time the revival of St. Nicholas came with Washington Irving, the traditional New Netherlands observance had completely disappeared. However, Irving's stories prominently featured legends of the early Dutch settlers, so while the traditional practice may have died out, Irving's St. Nicholas may have been a revival of that dormant Dutch strand of folklore. In his 1812 revisions to A History of New York, Irving inserted a dream sequence featuring St. Nicholas soaring over treetops in a flying iguana, a creation others would later dress up as Santa Claus. But was Irving the first to revive the Dutch folklore of Sinterklaas? In New York, 2 years earlier John Pinter published a pamphlet with illustrations of Alexander Anderson in which he calls for making St. Nicholas the patron saint of New York and starting a Sinterklaas tradition. He was apparently assisted by the Dutch because in his pamphlet he included an Old Dutch Sinterklaas poem with an English translation. In the Dutch poem, Saint Nicholas is referred to as Sinterklaas. Ultimately, his initiative helped Sinterklaas to pop up as Santa Claus in the Christmas celebration, which returned a freed of episcopal dignity and a via England and later Germany to Europe again. The St. Nicholas Society of New York celebrates a feast on December 6 to this day. The town of Rhinebeck in Dutchess County, New York, which was founded by Dutch and German immigrants, has an annual Sinterklaas celebration. It includes Sinterklaas crossing the Hudson River and then a parade to the center of town. During the Reformation in 16th–17th century Europe, many Protestants changed the gift bringer from Sinterklaas to the Christ child or Christkindl. Similarly, the date of giving gifts changed from 5th or 6th December to Christmas Eve. Sinterklaas in fiction. Sinterklaas has been the subject of a number of Dutch novels, films and television series, primarily aimed at children. Sinterklaas-themed children's films include Winky's Horse and the sequel Where is Winky's Horse? Sinterklaas-themed films aimed at adults include the drama Makker's Storacht UW Wild Gerardus, which won a Silver Bear Award at the 11th Berlin International Film Festival. The romantic comedy Alles is Liefde and its Belgian remake Zot van A. And the Dick Maas-directed horror film Sint. De Club van Sinterklaas is a Sinterklaas-themed soap opera aimed at children. The popular television series has run since 1999 and has had a number of spin-off series. Since 2001, a Sinterklaas news program aimed at children is broadcast daily on Dutch television during the holiday season, the Sinterklaas Journaal. The Dutch-Belgian Nickelodeon series Slot maar Sepienstein has aired since 2009. See also: Feast of Saint Nicholas, Companions of Saint Nicholas, Folklore of the Low Countries, Notes. External links